All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are watching this video. It's Grinder Mondays, right? And I hope everybody did something fun over the weekend. Hope everybody made it count because the work week has unfortunately returned, right? But it's okay. It's okay because more work days just means more paydays to look forward to, which in turn means you got it, more investing power. So today, we're diving into one of the longest running business rivalries in history, right? Because I got a comment last week on one of my videos that asked me specifically about which dividend was the best between Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. And when I scoured just the internet and YouTube just really quickly, I didn't see too many current videos on it. So I thought, hey, why not delve into it? Now, in terms of taste, okay, I have nothing against Coca-Cola.
I mean, it's all right. Like, overrated as
But I am a Pepsi guy. I'm a Pepsi kind of guy, all right? But we're here to answer the tougher question of which stock is the better investment, right? So both Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO, and PEPSI Co, ticker symbol PEP, both of these companies, both of these stocks are giants in the beverage industry, right? But there's the twist. Okay, here's the twist. Pepsi isn't just a beverage company. Unlike Coca-Cola, which focuses primarily on drinks, PepsiCo has a diversified portfolio that includes snacks like Lay's, Doritos, Quaker Oats, things like that. So right away, you can see that Coca-Cola is a pure play on beverages, while PepsiCo gives you, the investor, you and I, a little bit more exposure aside from just soft drinks, right? We kind of cross over, we cross over into the snacks and consumer goods part of the industry in terms of investing, right? So let's talk numbers. Coca-Cola currently generates around $46 billion in annual revenue, okay? With the majority of that coming from its beverage empire, of course, which includes, Sprite, brands like Fanta, Dasani water, and, Minute Maid. All of those are staples for Coca-Cola, right? PepsiCo, on the other hand, brings in over $90 billion in annual revenue, almost double that of Coca-Cola, because it has both. It has both the snacks and it also has those beverages, those sweet, sugar-filled beverages that we all know and love. So when we look at profitability, Coca-Cola does have a higher operating margin, right? Roughly 28% compared to Pepsi's, I believe it's 15 to 16%. So this means that Coca-Cola is more efficient. All right, they're more efficient at what they do. They're more efficient at turning its sales into actual profit, largely because it sells concentrates and syrups and their recipe to bottlers at a very, very high margin. So when you are looking at these different places that offer up Coca-Cola, we also have to factor in that as well, right? Because those are sales that are going to Coca-Cola. However, when it comes to growth, Pepsi has been edging out Coca-Cola over the years, okay? Over the past decade, in fact, PepsiCo's revenue growth has been steadier, and it's thanks to its snack division, of course, which tends to be more resilient than beverages during times of economic downturns, right? So what does that mean? It means that PepsiCo has a little bit more They got a little bit more skin that they can shed when the economy is suffering, right? Because they can collect from two primary divisions, right? So let's talk about what this means for the dividend investor, okay? Because both companies are rock solid. Both of these companies for an investor are rock solid as far as financials go. Okay, Coca-Cola has raised its dividend for over 60 consecutive years, making it a dividend king. Okay, its current dividend yield sits around 3%. Okay, so that's 60 years of dividend growth, y'all. That's important. PepsiCo has also raised its dividend for more than 50 consecutive years, and its yield is slightly lower, around 2.8%, just under that 3% that Coca-Cola is now offering. So again, very tight numbers. They're not far off from one another, okay, in terms of dividends. Coca-Cola does offer a bit more yield today than Pepsi does, but Pepsi has delivered slightly higher dividend growth in recent years. So if you want higher income right now, Coca-Cola might be your pick. Okay. But if you're looking for faster growing payouts and a company that has the ability to scale a little bit faster than the other, Pepsi will give you the edge over Coca-Cola. Okay. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about, because again, we're not gonna make this video long, I promise. One of my favorite quotes. I'm not gonna make this video long. But in terms of brand recognition, which is important, Coca-Cola is arguably unmatched. Okay. The Coca-Cola brand alone is valued at over, I believe I read it was $90 billion. Okay, making it one of the most recognized names on the planet. Coke is sold in more than 200 countries, more than 200 countries, and is pretty much recognized worldwide as a cultural icon and just a household name. But again, while Pepsi is not quite as iconic in terms of beverages as Coca-Cola, they do make up for that slack. Okay, they make up for it in their snack department because they pretty much dominate in that area. They got Frito-Lay, they've got Doritos, they've got several products that Pepsi owns that controls nearly 60% of the U.S. savory snack market, right? And that's huge because snacks are a growing market worldwide. So while Coca-Cola wins the branding battle in terms of drinks and soft drinks and beverages and things of that nature, Pepsi clearly wins when it comes to diversification, which y'all know diversification is a huge part of being a dividend investor. You want to have diversification, right? So of course, there's no stock that you're going to buy that does not have risk associated with the company, right? There's no stock. There's no stock in the stock market that you can buy that you never have to worry about experiencing any type of downturn. And for Coca-Cola, the biggest challenge is the decline of sugary soda consumption. With everybody trying to get healthy, with everyone trying to exercise and watch their sugar intakes and stay away from diabetes, health conscious consumers are turning towards other things like water, teas, and, other functional drinks in terms of health, right? Coke has been responding with products like Coke Zero. They've been trying to get the smart waters in there, acquisitions like Costa Coffee, which I think they bought. Those are which the company still relies heavily on sodas, even though they are trying to transition and grow with the consumers. They still rely heavily on the sodas. And so for Pepsi, The risk comes from its exposure to salty snacks. While snacks are growing, regulators and health groups are putting more of a vice grip and a clamp down, and they're putting more pressure on these companies to stand against processed foods. You might have seen recently in the news headlines that they're cracking down on all of the foods that have the red 40 and all the dye in it and stuff like that. That could limit their long-term growth prospects, right? That could affect them long terms because, again, snacks is a huge part of their sales. Here's the last thing you need to know, okay? If we look at the recent stock performance of both, over the past 10 years, Pepsi has outperformed Coca-Cola. Okay, they've been delivering stronger total returns for their shareholders than Coca-Cola has. In terms of valuation, Coca-Cola trades at about 22 times earnings, which means that while Pepsi trades closer to 25 times earnings, Pepsi is a little more expensive than Coca-Cola is. So all in all, you have two companies that are very similar, right? With some differences. And when it comes to earning revenue, that's when we get to key in on those differences. But in terms of dividend, 3% versus 2.8%, that's not a huge margin, right? So which is the better stock? Personally, if I had to choose just one, right now, I'd probably lean more towards PepSi Co. Okay, because while Coca-Cola is a classic, Pepsi's balance between the beverages and the snacks gives me a little bit more diversification, and actually a lot more diversification. So it kind of calms those turbulent waters that I might be worried about in the future. Okay, Pepsi's balance between the beverages and the snacks, it shows resilience during, again, economic troubles, okay? And it's a stronger stock performance of the past decade at least. It makes it more attractive as a long-term investment. That's me personally. You do your own research, y'all study up and figure out which one that is going to work for you in the end. In the end, both of these companies are world-class companies, okay, that belong in many investors' on many investors' radars. Now, I have both. If you really want to get fancy, you can just buy both. Again, partial shares are a thing. You can go buy $25 worth of Coca-Cola and go buy $50 worth of Pepsi if you want. There's no rules to this, right? The real winner depends on your goals, what you are looking for in the future, that steady income, balanced growth, and of course, dividends, right? So the Coke versus Pepsi rivalry isn't just really, it's not about taste. It's about two different strategies for companies that are trying to dominate in their fields. And right now, if I had to choose, Pepsi would probably be the one that I would go with in terms of that future growth that I'm looking for and also capturing a pretty respectable dividend. So that's it. That's all I got. Y'all let me know what you think. Let me know which one of these. If you own either, let me know which one. If you own both, let me know that too down in the comments down below. And I'll see y'all tomorrow on the next one. Thank y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all.